Oh boy. Mm. Mm. 12:25. So it says Saul spoke with his son Jonathan and with all his servants about killing David. Wow. But Saul's son took great delight in David. Jonathan told David, "My father Saul is trying to kill you. Therefore be on guard tomorrow morning. Stay in a secret place and hide yourself. I will go out and stand beside my father in the field where you are, and I will speak to my father about you. If I learn anything, I will tell you." Jonathan spoke well of David to his father Saul, saying to him, "The king should not sin against his servant David, because he has not sinned against you, and because his deeds have been of good service to you, for he took his life in his hand when he attacked the Philistine, and the Lord brought a great victory for all Israel. You saw it and rejoiced. Why then will you sin against an innocent person by killing David without cause?" Saul heeded the voice of Jonathan. Saul swore, "As the Lord lives, um, he shall not be put to death." So Jonathan called David and related all these things to him. Jonathan then brought David to Saul, and he was in his presence as before. Again, there was war, and David went to fight the Philistines. He launched a heavy attack on them so that they fled before him. Then an evil spirit from the Lord came on Saul. Mhm. Let me see. It could be K, Rai, or Ra. Rawatch. What would from be? I don't know. Yawa, in theory. Let's see what it is. 9. What's up, Trevor? I'm trying to find out what the spirit of, what this is. Oh, okay. It's Y. Okay, I thought it was K, possibly for then, but I was wrong. So Y, Ra, Rawatch. Oh, so from isn't really in the Hebrew then. Huh, they just put it in there. Hmm. All right. Well, I was right about 3. I was wrong about then, but okay. I was just testing out to see if I can figure out what words then an evil spirit from the Lord was in Hebrew, and I think I said 4 Hebrew words and I only got 3 right. 3 out of 4 ain't bad. Okay, so it says in verse 9, then an evil spirit from the Lord came on Saul as he sat in his house with his spear in his hand while David was playing music. That's interesting. Mm, 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 mm. I'm just thinking about the context. Mm. Saul sought to pin David to the wall with the spear, but he eluded Saul so that he struck the spear into the wall. David fled and escaped that night. Saul sent messengers to David's house to keep watch over him, planning to kill him in the morning. David's wife, Michal, told him, "If you do not save your life tonight, tomorrow you will be killed." So Michal let David down through the window. I wonder if that's the same word for lattice and opening. Oh, could be. I don't know. Let me see. Hmm. 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 Okay. Wait, this is the Lexham Hebrew English Interlinear. Is that the one I was messing around with? Nah. Okay. He fled away and escaped. My child took an idol and laid it on the bed. Interesting. She put a net of goat's hair on its head and covered it with the clothes. When Saul sent messengers to take David, she said, "He is sick." Then Saul sent the messengers to see David for themselves. He said, "Bring him up to me in the bed, that I may kill him." When the messengers came in, the idol was in the bed. I'll be right back. Before you see me, I got 14. Yeah, that's the part I was at right there. Came in, the idol was in the bed with the covering of goat's hair on his head. That's some Hebrew grammar for you right now. Saul said to my child, "Why have you deceived me like this and let my enemy go?" Mhm. So then it says, "Go, so that he has escaped." My child answered Saul. He said to me, "Let me go. Why should I kill you?" Now David fled and escaped. He came to Samuel at Ramah and told him all that Saul had done to him. He and Samuel went and settled at Naioth. Saul was told, "David is at Naioth in Ramah." Then Saul sent messengers to take David. When they saw the company of the prophets in a frenzy with Samuel standing in charge of them, the Spirit of God came on the messengers of Saul, and they also fell into a prophetic frenzy. When Saul was told, he sent other messengers, and they also fell into a frenzy. Saul sent messengers again the third time, and they also fell into a frenzy. Then he himself went to Ramah. He came to the great well that is in Seku. He asked, "Where are Samuel and David?" And someone said, "They are at Naioth in Ramah." He went there toward Naioth in Ramah, and the Spirit of God came on him. As he was going, he fell into a prophetic frenzy. until he came to Naioth in Ramah. He too stripped off his clothes, and he too fell into a frenzy before Samuel. He lay naked all that all that day and all that night. Therefore it is said, is Saul also among the prophets. Okay. Chapter 20. David fled from Naioth in Ramah. He came before Jonathan and said, "What have I done? What is my guilt? And what is my sin against your father, that he is trying to take my life?" He said to him, "Far from it. You shall not die. My father does nothing either great or small without disclosing it to me. And why should my father hide this from me? Never." But David also swore, "Your father knows well that you like me, and he thinks, do not let Jonathan know this, or he will be grieved. But truly, as the Lord lives, and as you yourself live, there is but a step between me and death." Then Jonathan said to David, "Whatever you say, I will do for you." David said to Jonathan, "Tomorrow is the new moon, and maybe that was the case before as well. And I should not fail to sit with the king at the meal, but let me go so that I may hide in the field until the third evening. If your father misses me at all, then say, David earnestly asked leave of me to run to Bethlehem in his city, for there is a yearly sacrifice there for all the family. If he says good, it will be well with your servant. But if he is angry, then know that evil has been determined by him. Therefore deal kindly with your servant, for you have brought your servant into a sacred covenant with you. But if there is guilt in me, kill me yourself. Why should you bring me to your father?" Jonathan said, "Far be it from you. If I knew that it was decided by my father that evil should come on you, would I not tell you?" Then David said to Jonathan, "Who will tell me if your father answers you harshly?" Jonathan replied to David, "Come, let us go out into the field." So they both went out into the field. Jonathan said to David, "By the Lord, the God of Israel, when I have sounded out my father about this time tomorrow, or on the third day, if he is well disposed toward David, shall I not then send and disclose it to you? But if my father intends you harm, the Lord do so to Jonathan and more also, if I do not disclose it to you and send you away so that you may go in safety. May the Lord be with you, as he has been with my father. If I am still alive, show me the faithful love of the Lord. But if I die, never cut off your faithful love from my house, even if the Lord were to cut off every one of the enemies of David from the face of the earth." Thus Jonathan made a covenant with the house of David, saying, "May the Lord seek out the enemies of David." Jonathan made David swear again by his love for him, for he loved him as he loved his own life. I thought it was going to say himself. Jonathan said to him, "Tomorrow is the new moon. You will be missed, because your place will be empty. On the day after tomorrow, you shall go a long way down. Go to the place where you hid yourself earlier, and remain beside the stone there. I will shoot 3 arrows to the side of it, as though I shot at a mark. Then I will send the boy, saying, Go find the arrows. If I say to the boy, Look, the arrows are on this side of you, collect them, then you are to come. For as the Lord lives, it is safe for you." and there is no danger. But if I say to the young man, look, the arrows are behind you, then go, for the Lord has sent you away. As for the matter about which you and I have spoken, the Lord is witness between you and me forever. So David hid himself in the field. When the new moon came, the king sat at the feast to eat. The king sat on his seat, as at other times, on the seat by the wall. Jonathan stood while Abner sat by Saul's side. But David's place was empty. Saul did not say anything that day, for he thought something has befallen him. He is not clean. Surely he is not clean. But on the second day, the day after the new moon, David's place was empty. And Saul said to his son Jonathan, why has the son of Jesse not come to the feast? Either yesterday or today. You see how they spelled yesterday? Oh, wow, okay. I didn't know that. Okay. Jonathan answered, Saul, David earnestly asked leave of me to go to Bethlehem. He said, let me go, for our family is holding a sacrifice in the city, and my brother has commanded me to be there. So now, if I have found favor in your sight, let me get away and see my brothers. For this reason, he has not come to the king's table. Excuse me. Then Saul's anger was kindled against Jonathan. He said to him, you son of a perverse, rebellious woman, do I not know that you have chosen the son of Jesse to your own shame and to the shame of your mother's nakedness? For as long as the son of Jesse lives on the earth, neither you nor your kingdom shall be established. Now send and bring him to me, for he shall surely die. Then Jonathan answered his father, Saul, why should he be put to death? What has he done? But Saul threw his spear at him to strike him. Now that part I didn't remember. I didn't know he tried to strike Jonathan as well. But Saul threw his spear at him to strike him. So Jonathan knew that it was the decision of his father to put David to death. Jonathan rose from the table in fierce anger and ate no food on the second day of the month, for he was grieved for David, and because his father had disgraced him. In the morning, Jonathan went out into the field to the appointment with David, and with him was a little boy. He said to the boy, run and find the arrows that I shoot. As the boy ran, he shot an arrow beyond him. When the boy came to the place where Jonathan's arrow had fallen, Jonathan called after the boy and said, is the arrow not beyond you? Jonathan called after the boy, hurry, be quick, do not linger. So Jonathan's boy gathered up. Is that the same word? No, I don't know. I wonder. Let me see. What does it say? I think it is. Maybe not. Whoa. The boy, what was the word above it? So Jonathan's boy gathered up the arrows and came to his master. But the boy knew nothing. Only Jonathan and David knew the arrangement. Jonathan gave his weapons to the boy and said to him, "Go and carry them to the city." As soon as the boy had gone, David rose from behind the stone heap and prostrated himself with his face to the ground. He bowed 3 times, and they kissed each other and wept with each other. David wept the more. Then Jonathan said to David, "Go in peace, since both of us have sworn in the name of the Lord, saying, 'The Lord shall be between me and you, and between my descendants and your descendants forever.'" He got up and left, and Jonathan went into the city. What is this? Already? Chronicles 21:2. Okay. Let me see. What's this? This sentence is 21:1 in Hebrew. Oh, yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, I read that wrong. Gotcha. David came to Nob to the priest Ahimelech. Ahimelech came trembling to meet David and said to him, oh, man. And said to him, "Why are you alone and no one with you?" David said to the priest Ahimelech, "The king has charged me with the matter and said to me, 'No one must know anything of the matter about which I send you and with which I have charged you. I have made an appointment with the young men for such and such a place. Now then, what have you at hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread, or whatever is here." The priest answered David, "I have no ordinary bread at hand, only holy bread, provided that the young men have kept themselves from women." David answered the priest, "Indeed, women have been kept from us, as always, when I go on an expedition. The vessels of the young men are holy, even when it is a common journey. How much more today, when their vessels be holy?" So the priest gave him the holy bread, for there was no bread there except the bread of the presence, which is removed from before the Lord, to be replaced by hot bread on the day it is taken away. Now a certain man of the servants of Saul was there, that day detained before the Lord. His name was Dog, and I'm sorry, Dog the Edomite. I can't say it. Maybe I should say Doeg. 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 How about Doeg? Doeg the Edomite. I should say Dog. Anyway, Edomite, the chief of Saul's shepherds. David said to Ahimelech, "Is there no spear or sword here with you?" "I did not bring my sword or my weapons with me because the king's business required haste." The priest said, "The sword of Goliath, the Philistine, whom you killed in the valley of Elah, is here wrapped in a cloth behind the ephod. If you will take that, take it, for there is none here except that one." David said, "There is none like it. Give it to me." David rose and fled that day from Saul. He went to King Achish of Gath. The servants of Achish said to him, "Is this not David, the king of the land? Did they not sing to one another in dances? Saul has killed his thousands, and David his 10,000s." David took these words to heart and was very much afraid of King Achish of Gath. So he changed his behavior before them. He pretended to be mad when in their presence. He scratched marks. Did I say that right? Yeah, he scratched marks on the doors of the gate and let his spittle run down his beard. Achish said to his servants, "Look, you see the man is mad. Why then have you brought him to me? Do I lack madmen that you have brought this fellow to play the madman in my presence? Shall this fellow come into my house?" David left there and encamped to the cave of Adullam. When his brothers came, when his brothers and all his father's house heard of it, they went down there to him. Everyone who was in distress and everyone who was in debt and everyone who was discontented gathered to him, and he became captain over them. Those who were with him numbered about 400. David went from there to Mizpeh of Moab. He said to the king of Moab, "Please let my father and mother come to you until I know what God will do for me." He left them with the king of Moab, and they stayed with him all the time that David was in the stronghold. Then the prophet Gad said to David, "Do not remain in the stronghold. Leave and go into the land of Judah." So David left and went into the forest of Hereth. Saul heard that David, those who were with him, had been located. Saul was sitting at Gibeah under the tamarisk tree on the height, with his spear in his hand, and all his servants were standing around him. Saul said to his servants who stood around him, "Hear now, you Benjamites, will the son of Jesse give every one of you fields and vineyards? Will he make you all commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds? Is that why all of you have conspired against me? No one, no one discloses to me when my son makes a league with the son of Jesse. None of you is sorry for me, or discloses to me that my son has stirred up my servant against me to lie in wait, as he is doing today." Doeg the Edomite, who was in charge of Saul's servants, answered, "I saw the son of Jesse coming to Nob, to Ahimelech, son of Ahitub. He inquired of the Lord for him, gave him provisions, and gave him the sword of Goliath the Philistine." The king sent for the priest Ahimelech, son of Ahitub, and for all his father's house. The priests who were at Nob and all of them came to the king. Saul said, "Listen, now, son of Ahitub," he answered, "Here I am, my lord." Saul said to him, "Why have you conspired against me, you and the son of Jesse, by giving him bread and a sword, and by inquiring of God for him, so that he has risen against me to lie in wait, as he is doing today?" And Ahimelech answered the king, "Who among all your servants is so faithful as David? He is the king's son-in-law, and is quick to do your bidding, and is honored in your house. Is today the first time that I have inquired of God for him? By no means. Do not let the king impute anything to his servant, or to any member of my father's house. For your servant has known nothing of all this, much or little." The king said, "You shall surely die, Ahimelech, you and all your father's house." The king said to the guard who stood around him, "Turn and kill the priest of the Lord, because their hand also is with David." They knew that he fled and did not disclose it to me, but the servants of the king would not raise their hand to attack the priest of the Lord. Then the king said to Doeg, "You Doeg." um, a minute. Okay. You turn and attack. The priest Doeg, the Edomite, turned and attacked. He's the Edomite, that's why. Okay, the priest on that day, he killed 85 who wore the linen ephod. 85. That's a lot. That is not good. Okay, 85 who wore the linen ephod. No, the city of the priests. He put the sword, men and women, children and infants, oxen, donkeys, and sheep, he put to the sword. But one of the sons of Ahimelech, son of Ahitub, named Abiathar, escaped and fled after David. Abiathar told David that Saul had killed the priest of the Lord. David said to Abiathar, "I knew on that day when Doeg the Edomite was there that he would surely tell Saul, 'I am responsible for the lives of all your father's house. Stay with me and do not be afraid.'" Mm, 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 mm. That's sad. I don't like it. For the one who seeks my life seeks your life. You will be safe with me. Now they told David, the Philistines are fighting against Keilah and are robbing the threshing floors. David inquired of the Lord, "Shall I go and attack these Philistines?" The Lord said to David, "Go and attack the Philistines and save Keilah." But David's men said to him, "Look, we are afraid here in Judah. How much more then if we go to Keilah against the armies of the Philistines?" Then David inquired of the Lord again, and the Lord answered, wait a minute. I missed something right there, and I missed it the time before too. Dang, oh man. It was another time. Mm. I was just reading, boy. Whew, I forgot. Okay, so that is chapter 23. Mm. Okay, verse 4. I gotta go back and get another part. I think God spoke to David too. So it's between 19 and 23. I'll come back for it, but let's see. So 5 says, so David and his men went to Keilah, fought with the Philistines, and brought away their livestock and dealt them a heavy defeat. Thus David rescued the inhabitants of Keilah. When Abiathar, son of Ahimelech, fled to David at Keilah, he came down with an ephod in his hand. Now it was told Saul that David had come to Keilah, and Saul said, God, entering a town that has gates and bars. Saul summoned all the people to war to go down to Keilah to besiege David and his men. When David learned that Saul was plotting evil against him, he said to the priest Abiathar, bring the ephod here. David said, O Lord, the God of Israel, your servant has heard that Saul seeks to come to Keilah to destroy the city on my account. And now will Saul come down, as your servant has heard? O Lord, the God of Israel, I beseech you, tell your servant. The Lord said, this is in verse 10. Oh no, that's 11. He will come down. 12, then David said, will the men of Keilah surrender me to and my men into the hand of Saul? The Lord said, they will surrender you. Then David and his men, who were about 600, set out and left Keilah. They wandered wherever they could go. When Saul was told that David had escaped from Keilah, he gave up the expedition. David remained in the strongholds in the wilderness, in the hill country of the wilderness of Ziph. Saul sought him every day, but the Lord did not give him into his hand. David was in the wilderness of Ziph at Horesh when he learned that Saul had come to seek his life. Saul's son Jonathan set out and came to David at Horesh. There he strengthened his hand through the Lord. He said to him, do not be afraid, for the hand of my father Saul shall not find you. You shall be king over Israel, and I shall be second to you. My father Saul also knows that this is so. Then the two of them made a covenant before the Lord. David remained at Horesh, and Jonathan went home. Then some Ziphites went up to Saul at Gibeah and said, David is hiding among us in the strongholds of Horesh, on the hill of Hachilah, which is south of Jeshimon. Now, O king, whenever you wish to come down, do so, and our part will be to surrender him into the king's hand. Saul said, may you be blessed by the Lord for showing me compassion. Go and make sure once more and find out exactly where he is and who has seen him there. For I am told that he is very cunning. Look around and learn all the hiding places where he lurks, and come back to me with sure information, and then I will go with you. And if he is in the land, I will search him out among all the thousands of Judah. So they set out and went to Ziph ahead of Saul. David and his men were in the wilderness of Ma'an, in the Arabah to the south of Jeshimon. Saul and his men went to search for him. When David was told, he went down to the rock and stayed in the wilderness of Man. When Saul heard that he pursued David into the wilderness of Man, Saul went on one side of the mountain, and David and his men went on the other side of the mountain. David was hurrying to get away from Saul, while Saul and his men were closing in on David and his men to capture them. Then a messenger came to Saul saying, "Hurry and come, for the Philistines have made a raid on the land." So Saul stopped pursuing David and went against the Philistines. Therefore, that place was called the Rock of Escape. David then went up from there and lived in the strongholds of En Gedi. When Saul returned from following the Philistines, he was told, "David is in the wilderness of En Gedi." Then Saul took 3,000 chosen men out of Israel and went to look for David and his men in the direction of the rocks of the wild goats. He came to the sheepfolds beside the rock, where there was a cave, and Saul went in to relieve himself. Now David and his men were sitting in the innermost parts of the cave. The men of David said to him, "Here is the day of which the Lord said to you, I will give your enemy into your hand, and you shall do to him as it seems good to you." Let me highlight this. It's 24:3. And then David went and stealthily cut off a corner of Saul's cloak. Afterward, David was stricken to the heart because he had cut off a corner of Saul's cloak. He said to his men, "The Lord forbid that I should do this thing to my Lord." The Lord's anointed, to raise my hand against him, for he is the Lord's anointed. So David scolded his men severely and did not permit them to attack Saul. Then Saul got up and left the cave and went on his way. Afterwards, David arose. Um, afterwards, David also rose up and went out of the cave and called after Saul, "My Lord, King, the king." When Saul looked behind him, David bowed with his face to the ground and did obeisance. David said to Saul, "Why do you listen to the words of those who say, 'David seeks to do you harm'? This very day your eyes have seen how the Lord gave you into my hand in the cave, and some urged me to kill you, but I spared you. I said, I will not rise my hand against my Lord, for he is the Lord's anointed. See, my father, see the corner of your cloak in my hand. For by the fact that I cut off the corner of your cloak and did not kill you, you may know for certain that there is no wrong or treason in my hands. For I have not sinned against you, though you are hunting me to take my life. May the Lord judge between me and you. May the Lord avenge me on you. But my hand shall not be against you. As the ancient proverb says, out of the wicked comes forth wickedness. What ancient proverb was that? I don't know. Do we got a cross reference? Let's see. I don't see any cross reference. I guess it was just something that was said around that time. I don't know. Okay. Out of the wicked comes forth wickedness. Mhm. Mhm. Oh, out of the wicked comes forth wickedness, but my hand shall not be against you. Against whom has the king of Israel come out? Whom do you pursue? A dead dog, a single flea? May the Lord therefore be judge, and give sentence between me and you. May he see it, may he see to it, and plead my cause, and vindicate me against you. When David had finished speaking these words to Saul, Saul said, Is this your voice, my son David? Saul lifted up his voice and wept. He said to David, You are more righteous than I, for for you have repaid me good, whereas I have repaid you evil. Today you have explained how you have dealt with me, in that you did not kill me when the Lord put me into your hands. For who has ever found an enemy and sent the enemy safely away? So may the Lord reward you with good for what you have done to me this day. Now I know that you shall surely be king, and that the kingdom of Israel shall be established in your hand. Swear to me, therefore, by the Lord, that you will not cut off my descendants after me, and that you will not wipe out my name from my father's house. So David swore this to Saul. Then Saul went home, but David and his men went up to the stronghold. Well, I'm gonna stop right there. Mm. Mhm. Psalm 125. Not bad. I gotta go back. Let me go to 22. Not 23. Yep. I don't know when it happened. Okay, I just had to go over that. Make sure I ain't leave nothing out. Super Guy 2022. Round 2. Doing the same thing. So weird. Why did it do that? That is weird. I don't know which one I read yesterday. Way Amar Wa Iba Aba Ibade or I Day Shawal All all y'all, sorry, all y'all, Hana Na Rawaj Allah Hayim Ra Mabai Thak. I don't know what those mean. What is Spirit of God evil? The evil spirit of God, I'm supposing. What is this last part? Oops. Why did it go to Esther? That doesn't make no sense. Fall on, terrified. Oh. Dang, everywhere I put this stupid mouse. Okay, that's done. I'm gone. All right, I'm out of here. Peace be to the saints. Had to get my reading in. It's a crazy day.